His music hits such as Pua Lane and Coconut Girl go back decades, but Brother Noland continues to make new fans from New York City to Waimea Valley. Yet he remains humble and true to his Hawaiian roots. Not only that, he still has a pretty good bank shot.
Hi everybody, I'm Brother Noland for your soul. Yeah, and we're here at Palama Settlement, and this is like my roots. Yeah, this is like the pico of my whole configuration, you know, what I'm made up of, where my character was formed. I'm Keiki Oka'aina, and Keiki Oka'aina in Hawaiian means I am born and raised here. Yeah, and my roots are Hawaiian, Chinese, Filipino. So it's a real neat blend. I grew up in Kalihi, Palama, yeah, or we call it the projects. You know, I grew up right down the street. You know, that infamous song Pua Lane, you know, translated in English, P-O-O-R, you know, but you know, Pua Lane was very influential, and Palama Settlement was also very influential in the way that I started to figure out things about myself and about growing up in Hawaii. On my mama's side, she is from the Big Island of Hawaii, Kona, and they're all musical. Everybody's musical, everybody dances, you know, so it's a part of Hawaiian culture, you know, to have the mele and to have the hula in there, and so it's very integrated in my DNA. So to have that was awesome to begin with. And then I think that I was influenced by my dad. His friends would tell me, oh, your dad is a great piano player, you know, and he played jazz. And I think when I got into Kamehameha schools, of course, the whole ambiance of Kamehameha, all of this was surrounding me all the time. As I was growing up in Kalihi, Palama, I realized that if I could play an instrument, yeah, I could soothe the souls of all my brothers, yeah, and I could make everybody happy, you know, and it was a way of communicating, you know, the softer and lighter side of nature, yeah, in all of us. Because here at Palama Settlement back in the day, man, it's, you know, it's your introduction into the detention home and prison. So really, at a real young age, you really learn how to, like, you know, carve out your own space, your personal space, yeah. When I came back to Palama to open the performing arts program in the early 90s, I shared with the executive director at that time that I think that if I didn't have that musical rhythm and flow, I wouldn't have been as fluid of a basketball player or you know, a sportsman, you know. But having that flow of music, I was able to integrate that into the way that I play ball. So I really enjoy watching basketball, and I understand the game real well, and that again comes from the roots here at Palama. There's so many good athletes. I went to college for about a year and a half, yeah, and my mom was so excited, and then I was majoring in music up at UH, and then I came to her and I told her, you know what, I know all that stuff in music, I want to do it. You know, she was a little bit disappointed, but you know, the rest is history now. So I started to tour, and I started to play music in all the clubs in Hawaii, and eventually that can burn you out too. So then I had this idea in the late 80s and the 90s to maybe go back to Palama Settlement, yeah, and create a performing arts program like how they have in Harlem and some of the other projects. Yeah, they get a chance to express the artsy side of them. At the same time, Palama is so famous for sports, and some of the great athletes of Hawaii ever walk through these gyms and these doors. And so I started to integrate that as well. So teaching performing arts and playing and coaching basketball, yeah, created the Brother Noland Goodwill basketball tournament in the 90s. We had kids from the outer islands, and we had big sponsors like Boys and Girls Club, and you know, all the major banks to help to see what I was doing with the kids. So I have great memories here at Palama Settlement. So when I got out of high school, I started playing solo. I didn't want to depend on anybody else. I didn't want to depend on a band. So I could be self-sufficient. That leads into what I do today with the survival camps and all too, yeah? Knowing how to survive, yeah? I loved all the genres of music, so I studied all of them. Yeah, not particularly being creative of them, but learning the forms and the formulas. And then I started to put in the Hawaiianness into the process. Yeah, just the way I feel, or the way other people feel like me here in the islands. So Coconut Girl by far has been my most successful song. It's my signature song. Sometimes artists don't want to do their signature song, but I love doing Coconut Girl too. It's fun. I've been doing it for, getting close to 40 years already, and I'm still able to make it infectious. Like I said, I just played it at the UN, and brought the house down. I've had some really interesting commentary, even like from John Berger saying, I get it. Yeah, brown on the outside, white on the inside. There's all these, and to me, that's what art is about. When you can create something where Hawaiians call it kauna, where there's all these hidden meanings, and everybody's perspective of it, is their own interpretation of it. People don't realize that I have two lives, right? Like my musical, on the road, performing artist, songwriter life. But then I also have the other life where I do the survival programs, right? And I teach people how to live off of the land. And that all kind of came together when I was like 12 years old or so. I was always interested in figuring out how I would have to survive. It really was fascinating to me. I consider myself a writer. I try to be simple in the way and make more common sense than anything else. Yeah, so actually in 1993, my first attempt at it was a book called Lessons of Aloha, which you still can get on Amazon or eBay. And I heard there was like one copy for like $500. It's crazy. But Lessons of Aloha is a book that expresses how to sustain yourself with aloha. Yeah, which is of course love, compassion, all those different tools that you need. When the publishers asked me to follow up with a second book, I said, let's do a survival book. So the survival book that I put out was called the Hawaiian Survival Handbook. It has all kinds of things that make a whole lot of sense. Some of my mentors is, of course, my martial arts teacher, Frank Mamalia's training through martial arts. You learn about how to sustain yourself and survive. Two of my really great mentors was Walter Riddy from the island of Molokai. Yeah, one day he asked me about if I ever tracked a deer. And I said, no, I haven't. He said, well, buy yourself a ticket to Molokai and I'll take you. And the next week I bought a ticket to Molokai, took me out into the bush, and the first time I heard the cry of a deer. And then my next great teacher was a guy named John Stoke. He learned from the Aboriginals. I retained all these different knowledges, and then I kind of brought it back to Hawaii and created a localized version of it. I really want everybody to come down and to Waimea Valley as we do the concert series one more year. I just love the presence and the peacefulness of that valley. It gives me a chance to tell all the stories, of all the songs I've written, and see people who come to the concert get a real sense of what Hawaii is about. It's a real backyard type of atmosphere, but with class, and there's a lot of people that participate and join in to the singing and the dancing, and it's just a really good feeling, and it's worth the ride out there too. I'm recording another project, we call them projects today, of a diversified idea, eclectic piece of different works, and even piece together a song with Chakaboy Chalk on the Hokulea, just a whole variety of things. I've been so blessed to have several songs licensed on motion pictures. Probably one of the bigger ones was Pineapple Express, Coconut Girl, Are You Native on Race the Sun, a TriStar motion picture, Backfire on Snakes on the Plane with Samuel Jackson, and numerous documentaries. So that's a part of my stable income too. Yeah, is my royalties from writing music. I've been very blessed and happy to have my songs out there in the greater world. And my daughters and my kids, they'll always text me and say, way to represent that, playing at the UN with Jack Johnson, way to represent our family. Yeah.